Check one. Check two. Cool. Here we are. Let's see, that's a little high. That's not bad. Right. Oh. Okay, now that is set up. And our chats are there. Good stuff. All right, today the plan is to dive in a little bit more deeply into D1. Continue on with the JWT implementation and see how far we can get. Maybe start adding in some additional content into the database that we're extracting using Cloudflare Workers and the authentication with the JWTs. Warning. There's a warning here. What's this? Something is streams is lower than recommended rate. Okay, that's okay. I'm doing that on purpose because I got some feedback that the latency was a little high and chat was delayed, so hopefully it doesn't degrade the video. So we'll have to see how that goes. First things first, let's try to test out the Wrangler to access the local D1. So we've been using npx Wrangler dev, our IP address and our port, and the remote -- remote means to access the remote database. We actually don't want to access the remote database today. And if we were to do that, that means we're connecting to the local database, I think. So if we take our postman and let's do a login, grab our access token, and we get our list of customers. Keyboard just stopped working. Okay, and send. So that is actually accessing. Is that actually accessing our remote database? I swear when I tried that before, we were getting different results. Let's see if we can't learn a little bit about the Wrangler, npx Wrangler, the Wrangler command. So that is how you interact with Cloudflare services. Wrangler D1. List the databases. So that seems to be the actual remote database. Let's look at some documentation. Cloudflare Wrangler local D1. Oh, hang on. In our TOML, it was a preview namespace. So it's the preview namespace, I think, that it said we had access to. Namespace 67 database B6. 67 B6. Okay. So it's accessing the preview key value store, but it's accessing the remote production D1 database. So Wrangler dev in this example, so that's just using Wrangler dev. So how do we create a local database? So probably it's probably D1 create name, but I think Wrangler the local. No, where's that? Where is it? Execute database name, then local. Now, so the local flag is for executing queries. D1 help. Note that D1's in beta, so use at your own risk. This is all about experimentation, not building something that is production level, which is obvious if you look at the way that we're hashing the passwords. Because it's at Edge, we're using our own hashing, which is not what you would want to do. You would want to use something like bcrypt, and there's a significant risk that we would hit the limit of execution time. So we're staying away from that for now anyway. List info. Okay, so D1 list. Then we can get some info about it, and maybe it'll tell us if it's remote or local. D1 info, or does it actually just want the name? I would hope it would take either. It says the region, so I don't know if we do a Wrangler D1 create, is there a so you can set the location, but that would be the region, not database name. Local only by creating in the root of your project. Okay, so let's try this. Let me open up Cloudflare, get into my account. There is a method for interacting with a D1 database. This is, yes, this is what I want. Okay. So we go into our table. Let's add some data. Company name. For all the fish. Okay. So we now have a new contact in our customers. If we run without the remote, so that's without remote. And we request. Okay, so this is the local server. Now, if we exit here and remote, we should get our Douglas Adams contact and exit. Oh, no. So without remote, excellent. Okay, so now Wrangler D1 info. Run that again. Wrangler 1D info remote. Is there any different information? No. Okay. Do you want execute? So we can execute a script or a query. Oh, help. So the -- local is against the local database. So then you would execute it again without the local to access the remote. Okay, so we could do local command. So how do we go about, let's does it give us any information, or do we need to go to the documentation to look up how we interact other than just executing SQL? database commands. Table list. So we could do command table list. Table list. Importing data, SQL, execute. Now that's saying against the Wrangler commands D1 create. Oh, we already have. So that's to create a database. Database name. So do we have, say, a so we have list that gives a list of databases. Execute executes a command against a database. Oh, yeah. So it's just going to be execute. I was trying to list all the tables, not just the tables for a database. Local. I don't think that's in the right place. We can update it after. Is it list? Tables. D1, that's the list, execute. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, database commands under learning. Okay, so table list. Where I guess they go here. That didn't say. Almost there. Well, actually, let's just make sure that it actually runs. So it's not the table list. So it wasn't the local. It was giving me issues, but list the tables. database name, options. Oh, and then the command. Okay, so local, and then command. Forget, was it table list? Table list, yeah. What in the world? If you write documentation, please just add examples. Just because your documentation is often confusing. I mean, it should be pretty easy to add some automatic examples. Seriously. Command. Execute database options. So, command. Wrangler D1 execute on that table. There we go. So we're actually executing now. This should be against. Nope. Why did that not work? Try adding the local. Oh, because well, no, I was thinking it was because I didn't export the name or the binding to the ID of the remote, but that shouldn't be it because I'm in the same account logged in that Wrangler's using the access for. Oh. Wrangler D1 execute database name my worker D11 a command. Let's try actually select star from customers. Hey Bram, good to see you again. So that does actually, is the latency any better? I made some changes. So if we can select, cool, good to see. I went with the middle option. I didn't go with the ultra low latency. I want to see what the output is like for the rest of the quality before deciding if I should go with even lower. All right, so it will execute the SQL. Now let's remove local, and we should see our Douglas Adams customer. Indeed. Okay, so now we are interacting with the database, whether it be local or remote. I just want to understand how to find out details about the database itself. So I've lost that. Table list. So why database level commands? You can execute any of these commands via the D1 console in the Cloudflare dashboard, which was, oh, did I close that? I didn't think I closed it. Bring that that back up. Workers. D1, here we go. Oh, I put it over here. That's right. So it is here. So if we come back to our worker, in the console, we can, well, now see, tables is different than list tables. Or different than table list. Did I misread? That happens a lot. It did not. Wonder if it requires like a select or something weird. But so if we do slash tables, as expected, we get the single customers table because we haven't created a users table yet. So if the console is telling us to execute slash tables, could it be that, or perhaps it is slash table list? No. Tables? Nope. Just the word tables? Nope. Master table. Okay. So let's try that. Could it be select? Nah. Let's do the select name SQL from SQLite master. Oh. Okay. That at least. Oh, so it uses SQLite somewhere to deal with the key value as well as customers. So that's good to know. So that was how we created our customers table. Now let's create well, let's just edit this one. Drop table if exists. Users. Integer primary key. Does it have an auto? I don't know what the generated columns. So I'm looking to auto increment the ID. Integer primary key, not null. So if it's a primary key, it should already be not null. Auto increment I'm probably misspelling increment. Cloudflare D1 auto inc. Inc experiment. This was in August of 2023, so. And the status is still open. Okay. Insert into table with identity 01. For example, don't accept default. It is auto increment is simply not supported. Just add auto increment to the end. Alrighty, let's see how that goes. Yes, username, password, text, okay, and then insert into users, admin. All right, let's just get Dave, and then let's grab our hash. So our password is, let's make it a little foobar pass. So super secure password. Oh, silly me. And we're not running the server. You need to do several different things there, my guy. Wrangler Dev. No, we don't want to run remote because we want to run, it doesn't really matter, but we do want to be running locally for right now. And it's not, yes, it is test. So foo, no, not test. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Foo bar baz. Undefined. Hey, did I do something by accident when I finished last time? We have all right, let's just check some of the other. Okay, so it is creating our JWT. It is fetching all customers. User password test. Let's just see what user password test is currently doing. So users uses our users routes. Password test takes the body, gets the password from the body, password. It returns the hashed password. The hashed password is, oh, I added salt in to pass it in, and this should, if we add salt to the end, and then we need to find all the, so password, that's okay. Okay, so now if we send this again, yes, so we get the salt, the rounds, the hash. Let's also, there was one other thing I wanted to do, which was to add a hash version. Oh, that's why I had that one. Like double quotes. Just trying to be a little bit consistent. It's fine though. Clean that up later. Okay, so now we have the hash version. Let's just add this into so here. Dot version. So now because version isn't a hash version. There we go. Okay, so now we have that and that. We just need to double check. So we need to incorporate the version. For now, it's just to make sure that if we wanted to change any sort of other information, like moving from SHA-256 to 512 or something like that, that it would that we'd be able to reprocess. So when we fetch that, this is rounds and version. Then we get rounds version split on dot. Excellent. And then we're not actually using version, but we can go ahead and send it. Okay. If not version, version equals hash version. Not super important at the moment, but valuable to have. And we do actually need to validate that, okay, it does process it. And if we send a password that was not used to create the hash, we get a failure. Okay, good stuff. So let's grab this. And go back to our new schema. That is our password. Let's also add, let's make this where we can actually read it. Username, user type. Yeah, we might add type later. And password hash. That's all for now. Let's make the key auto increment. Okay, so now if we execute this query, Wrangler execute, and then so local, and then I think it's file. Yes, file -- file schema SQL. 2 values for 3 columns. Okay, no, wait. Customer ID, integer primary key, auto increment. All right, let's just take out the fact that it's possible we are fighting an existing table. Although it has drop if exists. All right, let's try executing again. This is only due. Okay, so it did. It did create our users. So if we do a select star from users, we have our user with the password hash. Okay. Now let's again make this so that we can read it a little bit better. Name and company, which this is. So first, drop table if it exists, create the table if it doesn't exist. All right, let's try again. Error, 2 values for 3 columns. Customers does not have auto increment. Drop table if exists customers. So is that not executing? Okay, customers is gone now. Rerun the schema file. Let's drop users. Try to rerun for both now. So neither file exists. Oh, execute. Okay, so it's creating users. Integer primary auto increment. Kill me! I'm so silly sometimes. There we go. When you give it the right commands, it works, right? So silly. Okay, cool. So now we have star from users, star from customers. And if we remove the local, we should still have Douglas Adams, but we should also not have users. Or actually, can we do the... Is it table list? D1 execute. Table list. I just want to understand why. Command table list. Okay, let's we just closed Workers SDK. Let's go back to issues and let's search for table list. None open, none closed. Table list. Is Pragma actually... Is that what I've been doing wrong the whole time? Don't! Okay, and then so local. Local. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay, cool. So we have a users. We have. Oh, let's actually run that again because I didn't check it. So without local, we shouldn't have users, but we should have customers, key value, and the other SQLite stuff. Okay, cool. So let's go back and let's go ahead and execute. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to add the hash differently for production, or air quote production, but we can so this is running against the local database. Yes, we can close this. We want to do some authorized username. I think this is what we want. This is for authorize username password, so that's passing in a username and password. So first thing we want to do is password hash is that. Yep. And then we want to, let's see, we want to just grab the we don't need that. We want to create a model for a user. Okay, so let's come back to here, new file, model. Again, it's not really a model because we're not trying to create some sort of ORM or anything, but just want to try to follow some sort of consistent pattern. So const table name users, get all users. Yeah, let's just double check. We were preparing get them all list 10. Yep. Then get user by ID short. Then we want a, yeah, we'll take that. How about a function get user by username with password hash. Okay. Where username and password hash. Okay. Let's grab this. So we're getting a password hash based on the password supplied. Then we want to do a, we need to just star. Under the bridge we did that. User. Yes, this is our user. Okay. Okay, so we want to get a user, get, is it first? I think that's it, but we can double check and double check our schema here. That was supposed to be password hash. username is. There. Okay, so when we authorize username and password, we pass in the username and password. We create a password hash from the hash password, passing in password and the hash rounds. Then we get the user from get user by username with password hash. Then if not user, return false. Or actually we could just do a return users not equal to null. Yeah. And console.log user logged in user. Okay, so now if we come back to here, did I not export those? I did not. So we are exporting all of our functions. I did save. Come back here and check. Now let's try to log in again. Okay, there's an internal server error, which is undefined prepare. Okay. Did we need to pass in the database. That's what I'm forgetting. Username, password hash, database. And let's just double check how we did that here. Might make more sense to instantiate a database abstraction that can then access the different calls to the database. But that requires some additional thinking. I just want to get to the point where we're actually making something happen today. So then we are passing in this, but actually we want to receive it as database. Yeah, this is ugly. I dislike. Here. What? All right. So we come to log in. We get the body from JSON. We then get the username and password from there. We then see if we're authorized by getting authorized username and password and passing it username, password, and DB. We create a hash. We then await get username with password hash, username, password hash, and DB. We receive the DB. We do a prepare on that where the username and password hash equals that. And I think that is how we bind it. And we're trying to select first. Now, select first might not be the correct database action. But let's see. Okay, that complained as it is results of intermediate value. So if I change that to turn on local mode. Okay. Let's try again. Where did that fail? Cannot destructure property results of intermediate value. Okay, so it is that it's not first may not be that. So it might be like get statement dot one. We are looking at DB prepare. So this is so those are the main DB commands we want to use. Examples. Prepare, bind all. I just want to get one. I mean, I can get all of them and then like limit it to one and then return the only value in that array that it would return, but I would think that there is a okay, there's a prepare and a bind. Prepare. Okay, at least I'm using the bind properly. That was one of the questions I had. Bind run. Run. Oh, that's an insert. Ah, here we go. All raw run first. So it is first. Await statements first. Await statement first. First total. What? Oh, select. Yeah, right there. So it just returns the object itself. And this should be actual user. Hang on. I'm getting confused here between the two different. No, I want to be in the. It's okay. Okay. Go away. Okay. Results. Then the user matches the results. Or we could just do user. Return user. clear this so we can see what happens. Now let's try to log in. Internal server error. At cannot destructure property user. Cannot destructure. Okay, so it's because we're just returning the user. User dot user name. And we can revert still no. All right, let's just call it just user. Wait, what just happened there? Authorized user. User equals that. And not star, let's just get user name. Okay. Invalid username or password. It should not be. User logged in null. Can we log this statement? Where's Dave and that? Let's grab that. Dave and password equals command so Wrangler D1 execute my worker local the command select star from users where username equals Dave and password hash equals that. And if we take this out, just the name equals Dave. So we have that. Okay. Hash v1. Foobar Baz. Foobar Baz. Because I'm creating a new salt. You big knucklehead. Okay. So from here. we just want to get the username. Then we want to okay, yeah. Hey, I'm pretty sure that's what we were after, but let's just go ahead and in the model we want to get rid of this portion. I want to get rid of this. Get rid of this. But we want user name and password hash. So we return the username and password hash based on the username equaling our user. Don't need that. And if we are, we'll leave that for now. So we receive the user. If there is no user, then it goes away. Then we user not found, return false. Okay, let's actually just test this one thing at a time. So we're going to try to test this. So we come back here. Let's, okay, so we're going to try to log in with not our user. Invalid username or password. And we'll just check here. User not found, XXX. Okay. So now we are getting console log. Checking password for username. User. Okay. Valid username or password. Checking password for object. JSON stringify. Okay. Valid username or password, but that's okay because we have a username equals that, a password hash equals that, #2. User password incorrect, Dave. #2. Okay. Incorrect. It's just that portion, which is that portion. Okay. So hash is incorrect. And user password #2. Oh, Probably use some better naming. But let's see. All right, so that is with the correct username and password. With the incorrect name, with the incorrect password. Connection lost. What the hell? Okay. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right. That's pretty cool. So we actually have our password hash being stored in the database with our user. We figured out how to ensure we were working in our local database versus the remote database using Wrangler. Learned a few SQL commands that we can use. What else should we do? Let's go ahead and just hello. What in the world? Get status. Okay, this is I need to actually, let's just inside my worker. Okay, I knew we had a get add. Haven't been doing a good job of committing stuff because it's all been exploration. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's all thing. Get commit. Login working. JWT. Returned and refreshed. Hash is self-rolled. Yuck. Let's see. What else? What else? I need to better structure DB and models and roots. Cool. So that's all done there. How about we do, let's new file, helpers, db.js. This could be a class. Let's see. Let's draw some pictures here. All right. So we have index. Hey. index. Just see if that's correct. Index users, customers. Customers. And this would just be a full list of all of the things. We have routes, models, now we want so we have a DB. So if we create, if index creates a DB, index creates a DB, we wouldn't want to pass it to the users. We could create a how do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? There's a few different ways that we could do this. This is going to be slightly different than I would do in an application running on a fully functioning server because of the limitations of our 50 milliseconds, or 10 milliseconds actually, 10 milliseconds of execution time. So we want to limit all the things that get loaded to only what we need, but we want to be as efficient as possible. So what I'm wondering is if maybe we want our routes and models different, which is probably what we want. We probably want routes and models with users and a users and a customers and a customers. And then our models could have the abstraction interface to the DB. And we could perhaps only load the models to the DB that we need for a given set of execution. Does that make sense? So our index or our root would have to know. I don't love that either. It's the limitations of working at the edge that makes this a little more tricky than it would be normally. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I think. I might have to just let this simmer and come back and reorganize this a bit in the morning. Let's look at some code here quickly. So we have our index. Verify access token. That's part of there. Yeah, let's get rid of yeah, so let's do this. New folder, roots, new folder, models. Git move customers slash roots to root slash customers .js. Git move model to models. Models customers move roots customers. Okay. Okay. Git move users roots to roots users. Git move models to nope. To users. So now users and customers are empty. Find users. Find customers. All right. Get RM RF customers. So RM, RF customers, users. All right. Index. Let's also do a new file, index.js. Users. Let's see, what are we exporting here? All right, it's going to need a little more cleaning up than just a few minutes, but we can export. Root, user roots. User roots goes to user. I'm considering how to make an automatic export that gives us what we want that can be logical. Without extra overhead. Thinking about this thing at Edge is so interesting, but it doesn't follow the patterns that I would have always followed with just a fully functioning server. So it's kind of neat to have to deal with significant constraints again. I had to do this in the early days because hardware was so much less powerful. You're talking about memory in the kilobytes, or eventually the megabytes. So we want users and we want customers. Let's so for the index we want, let's see, we want to import oh, that's right, I did want to look at the instead of router, itty router. That might give us some something of some significant value that may be smarter than rolling it ourselves. Micro router, you can use it anywhere. Cloudflare, ultra flexible, ultra light, battle. Okay, so far so good. Now, is this actually different than Hono? So Hono is a lightweight framework. So I wonder, let's just see IDI versus Hono. So IDI is 3% slower. Or is it? Okay, so HONA would be what? So I wonder if there is an example. Let's go back to those examples we had. Example. This is just sticking it all in here. Yes, pages. So they're passing in their key value. Oh, that's the key value namespace. No, so it's the actual key values because it's TypeScript. Yeah, that's not enough. Let's see, let's see if there are any more. Oh no. That's exactly where we came from, right? Yeah. Nothing of real substance in this example. Nope. And that's where we came from. All right, so we don't want that, but we might want a const of, or no, also within user. Roots. How are we doing that before? Roots as, okay. Import roots as customer roots versus user roots. Now I was thinking of doing something like export path roots. Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. That was exactly what I was thinking of doing. Yep. And then from here, it was going to be roots. Roots from roots, and then yes, that. It didn't really give us much though, did it? Did they give us anything? I don't know, let me think about that a little more. May think about that a little bit more. And then I definitely don't like that, but we can clean that up after, or actually we could do export did roots Actually, isn't there a JavaScript in, or I swear this Python versus JavaScript, I spend half the time validating syntax. Index, nope, JavaScript text in array. Is it contains? Contains is what I've been forgetting, right? Array contains. Includes. No, that's, yes. Includes, okay, so. Includes the path, then return. Cool. All right, that does that. So we get our roots and our unprotected roots, our middleware. It either accepts it if it's unprotected, or it says we don't have, there's no authorization header. We could have an authorization header that doesn't have a space in it, and that could throw an error here. We're also verifying the access token, so why don't we just throw that in a try. Okay. Don't actually want the payload to be displayed. A verify access token, we still need access to. We could add that to either the, keep that in like a user model, or we could make an access model. Well, we've already got user login, and we're pretty much doing this for the user, so we might just leave it there. But then we would need to import verify access token from, we could do a .jwt and do all of the JWT work. I see we're still going to need potentially a separate model for JWTs because it's going to be accessing the database. Let's see. Let's go back to, I think that's actually still in our user's root. See, that definitely needs to go to the model. Model, generate token. Right, we'll still need to store that. Now, do we want this all part of the user, or do we want to make a full, or make another model for the JWT itself? It does have some separate activity, so it might make it simpler when reasoning about user, so that's probably a good idea. Let's see, where are we using this verify access token? Okay, the verify access token is only happening within the index and the root user. And it is only using the JWT verify. At the moment, though. Yeah, because it's the access. We probably need to check a deny list. Hi there, Billing? Sorry, I have no idea how you're supposed to say that. Billing. How are you? Yeah, I think we want a JWT model. We are going to have to deal with deny lists on the refresh tokens as well as the some access tokens. Yes, so let's do a new model. JWT. Okay. All right, and then I've got a table name. Table name. No, what are you doing? Table name JWT. Okay. So we can go ahead and move our verify access token to JWT. And to be able to do that, we need to import verify from no JWT. Nope, wrong one. It's this one. So we've moved the verify to over here. We've got the JWT verify access. Okay, let's save everything. I know a lot of stuff isn't going to work right now. Roots as user roots from. Could not resolve users roots. Oh, of course not. Because that's not there anymore. Failed build. It's always nice when you do a restructuring and everything's broken. Could not resolve users roots on source. Oh, on source roots. On source. I mean on users roots. All right, users roots. Roots as export roots. All right, let's. Okay. That's users and customers roots. Okay. Where are you? Could not. Okay, well that's definitely that's not .jwt. Roots / index. Models JWT. All right. What? All right. On line 2. On line. possibly losing my mind. From roots index. Roots index. Roots index. That's what I expect. If I could read and spell and think. Those are all the things I can't do sometimes. Okay. All right. So we actually have a thing doing a thing now. So we should be able to still do, well, no, we can't do any of the, hi Niraj. So I am using Cloudflare services. Let me just get over to here, Cloudflare docs. So initially created a statically generated website, which is just the DevOpsDave.net. Actually, that one. Using statically generated, where was our statically generated, our documentation? Statically generated content using Jekyll that is deployed to Cloudflare pages. So all of these are currently on the free tier of services. I have a worker, which is similar to an AWS Lambda at Edge or a CloudFront worker? No. CloudFront function, I think. I can't remember all the different terms. And using within D1 or within pages, we can get to I can't find it. Anyway, we're using D1, which is an SQL like database, also in Cloudflare. I am just building a simple API based on the Hono framework, HONO, which is a lightweight, fast framework for building JavaScript servers and APIs. Currently, we have two tables, a customers table, which was just an example that they gave, and a users table. The users table contains just a username and a password hash. I had just gotten past the point of very initial work with using JWTs, validating the login, creating refresh tokens. Now I'm just doing some restructuring because we had everything built under the customers or users with the roots and models underneath of there, and that just didn't make sense to me. So we split it up to now refactoring so that we have our index pulling our roots and unprotected roots and figuring out what to do with the JWT logic. And so it's probably going to be also a model. I don't know that it's or strictly a model in an ORM type of sense, but that's kind of the goal, is just to see how far we can get building something fully at the edge with the limitations that we have there. So some of the limitations being that you have 10 milliseconds of execution time, which is a hard limit for the free tier, and 50 milliseconds for the paid tier. So just how much can we build there, and what sort of different decisions do we need to make based on that, as opposed to just executing, whatever you want, because you can just increase the resources of a server. Any questions on that? Yes. So we're currently using Hono's JWT. So I can show you what the kind of the flow is, and I haven't built everything out yet. But send a username and password. You get an auth token and a refresh token. You send the auth token as a bearer token, and that does validation that it is the correct token. It's not expired. And we're going to be adding in a deny list for auth tokens that we've decided should be denied. We have a refresh path, so if you send a refresh token and it hasn't expired and also hasn't been used, so this isn't built yet because we need to add in a bit of a back end for once a refresh token has been used once, that it is then no longer valid for refresh. And then so this was just a password test so that we could send in the password, and then it would send us a hashed value. Now, I've said this a few times, but I want to keep saying it. I rolled my own hashing function. Don't do it. Use something like bcrypt. But what I did, just because of our limitations, bcrypt seemed like it was likely to run out of execution, and we would need to offload the building of the hashes and possibly the authentication of the hashes. But I didn't want to do that at this point. The way we handled it was, let's see, this is the models. This is still a little rough. But we took, for hashing the password, we would generate a salt for each time we created a password. We got a hash version so that we could change the versions if we wanted to change the algorithm or any other element, and the number of rounds, so currently just set to 10,000. So we would just, whatever given password a user supplied, we would then go through and just generate a hash that would require 10,000 rounds of this with a given secret and the given salt. So, I mean, it's better than MD5 hashing, but it's not what I would ever use in production. I am not a cryptographer, so that was the hashing. But then the JWTs are... So the access tokens, we are not storing the access tokens. We're going to have a deny list. Yeah, okay, yeah, bcrypt is definitely the way to go, but with our limitations at the edge, that seems like it's not going to work. Browser memory or cookies where... So if this is going to be a single page application, it is probably going to need to be in either... I mean, it's either going to have to be the local storage or in the cookies, but like neither of those are great options. So I still personally need to do some more research on the absolute best way to store for a single page application. I think local storage is about as good as you can get, which still puts a user at risk if they have any sort of if there's, an attack on, what is the reflective cross-site scripting, I think, or persistent cross-site scripting. So there is a potential to lose those. But, I mean, that is a risk that anybody with a single-page application would have. So still need to figure out how best to handle that. Let's see. Where were we? we move the... I guess really the only other option beyond a single page would be a rendered backend a backend that renders a front end, and that you moved. So, like, I'm thinking of a fully static website that accesses all dynamic content through an API. If you are able to generate an HTTP only cookie, then that might work, but then that removes the flexibility you have for a fully single page application. So I don't have a great answer for that yet. And I think that consensus kind of changes a little bit over time. So don't know. If you render every page and you have to navigate to a new page each time, that is more likely. Well, the most secure is if you turn off the computer, unplug it, throw it in the bin after dumping it in water and catching it on fire. But each step beyond that gives you more flexibility, more usefulness, and less security. That's just kind of the way it is. It's some sort of balancing act between usability and security. Okay, so we are getting our verify access from the JWT model. And then after that, let's try the unprotected routes, which would be login. So if we check our login, we can actually move verify token over, or verify refresh token, excuse me, over here. If user sends a request at a secure route, it needs access token. So I'm guessing it needs to be somewhere. Yeah. I think what makes sense is actually, let's do just a bit of quick searching. Storage of JWT. So I know there's been some argument about storing it in local storage versus storing it in I can't think of where I was thinking the other option was. Yeah, so browser memory. Yeah, exactly. So if you store it in memory, which is the safest, then you lose the ability to refresh the browser. Welcome to banking, which is why if you accidentally hit the back button instead of their back button, you have to re-log in. It's common to save it in local storage and set it as the request header. So that's kind of probably the way that I'm headed, but I hate Medium. Half an article that almost told us something and have to log in. Yeah. I thought I'd gone here instead of Medium to the Security Stack Exchange. This was asked 4 years ago. I don't know. So, yeah, I do that. I store in browser, but have logic where if I don't have access token, I use a refresh token. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. But I'm also going to store the refresh token, and each time that refresh token's been used, it gets added to a deny list. I'm considering potentially also blacklisting a given access token that's attached to that refresh token, but I haven't really considered if that makes a lot of sense, because then on every access we have to do a lookup in the database. So it may or may not make sense. In cookies. So, oh, you store it in the browser in cookies. Is that what you're saying? Which is okay. I don't know. I don't know if local storage of the cookies is more or less safe. When it's an HTTP only cookie, that's safer. Um, okay, you store the. Oh, I see. Um, that's interesting. Because, well, see, so my what I was thinking of was that we could store the store some sort of information about the client, but a lot of the new features for privacy are preventing having access to much of that. But if the IP changed, or if any of the device changed, or any type of fingerprinting we could do on the device when trying to use the refresh token, then we could blacklist that refresh token and force a new login. Um, but like I said, because of some of the privacy features in some browsers now, it's becoming harder to fingerprint a user, so that we wouldn't know that they, um, so if that refresh token was stolen and tried to be used somewhere else. So if only the access token was stored in memory and then the refresh token was used, that that might help with some of it, but the refresh tokens could still be stolen with cross-site scripting. So yeah, um, more more research required. Okay. Oh, oh. Okay. Oh, we have a Discord server that's growing. If you're interested, Niraj, it's devopsdave.net/discord, or the Discord link that you see right here. Still growing, but we're getting more and more active, which is great. I love getting the opportunity to interact with people of varying um, degrees of experience. Okay. All right. So verify access token, verify refresh token. Those have been added. We can move. Okay, that is all okay. Generate token. Oh, sure. Tell you something about me. I've been in IT, software development, and DevOps for many years. I have been a DevOps engineer, a platform engineer, a site reliability engineer. I was a co-founder and CTO of a startup that unfortunately did not succeed. We built some really interesting stuff, and it was a great learning experience. But it didn't go the way that I had hoped. So currently, I'm a staff engineer working as kind of a cross between backend and DevOps engineer. My main programming languages would be Python or JavaScript. Some experience in some others, and some toying around with Rust, which I think is pretty cool. But generally, I end up needing to do more with speed of delivery as opposed to speed of execution. So Python and JavaScript seem to make that go faster than trying to really focus on something like Rust. That's been my experience. I've lots of work in AWS and Azure. Not much in Google Cloud. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are twins. Let's see. I started streaming and trying to work on the YouTube stuff just because I found it interesting and a way to reignite some of the interest outside of the day job. Yeah, about startup. I worked on it too. It was not mine, but it failed. Yeah, well, I like to say that we successfully found a way not to execute a startup. Try to put a nice spin on it. But yeah, thanks on the twins. Congrats. Thanks on that. Yeah, so I feel like I got 3 simultaneous PhDs through the startup, even if we didn't make ourselves rich. So there's at least that, right? Got more experience and more growth than I would have in those 3 to 4 years as just a full-time employee. That's how I thought of that. What kind of startup were you in? If you say, mine was based around building an application for healthcare providers. Switch back over to here. Mine was around providing e-commerce services. Okay, yeah, that's I've seen several both successful and not as successful startups in that area. About building a small community like a small social media integration. Okay, an e-commerce service for building a small community like a social media integration. Okay, interesting. I hate that it didn't work out for you, but I'm sure you learned a ton working on it, right? He says, I built the front end and back end, but the CEO said I don't have time. Can you be the new CEO or who can find someone who can work on it? That's rough. That's one of the things that I found led to the excessive stress for me that contributed to not being able to perform optimally was working on things that were not directly related to my skill set. So dealing with paperwork, finance stuff, things like that, and not spending all of my time actually working on the product, that just sapped all my energy. So I can see how going from building something to then trying to be the CEO would be extremely difficult. At least it would be for me. I know there are people who would excel at that, but that was not me. So he learned a lot and says it was worth the time. Agreed. I just wish that in my case I could have come out with more money than I went into it with. Let's just say that not only did I feel like I got the experience of several PhDs, I felt like I paid for several PhDs. Oh, you're just a college student in your last semester. Oh, that's interesting. I see a computer science major, but you've already worked in a startup and were asked to be a CEO. You can figure out how to word that in your CV so that that you look like that it shows the experience you've already had when you go applying for positions. Okay. Post. All right, we'll fix that. Okay, so those are all for that. We're no longer using these. When do you finish in the what even month is this? This is January. In the springtime, or I don't know where you are, so I don't know if it is the same springtime, but so I don't know if you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, but in March, April, May, June time. In June. Cool. Do you know what specific area of the profession you think you're going to try to go into? Or look for a job in, I should say. Let's see. So, no, it's fine. Ask all the questions you want. Can I tell you how it was learning, getting into the industry? Happy with how you took this life? So I'm not saying there aren't stresses, like there definitely are, but I still more days than not wake up and think, I can't believe I get paid to do this, because as you can see, it's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm basically building something because it seems cool. I mean, it's not the most amazing thing that ever existed, but it's playing with some technologies I don't get the opportunity to play with in my day job at the moment, or at least ancillary technologies. So I couldn't do anything else. Well, I mean, maybe if I won the lottery, I could sit on a beach and not do anything. That would be okay. But I can't imagine doing any other profession. Um, just a web developer at this point, trying to get into some AI ML stuff. Everybody starts somewhere, and the concepts are, for most engineering work, very transferable. Now, for myself, I'm never going to be writing a search engine. Like, I'm not going to be optimizing the algorithms for a search engine. That's not me. Um, but I love the all the rest of it. So putting things together that work and finding new and novel ways to solve problems. You'd want that too. Not sure which exact thing that's a response to, but enjoying what you do, that's the key. So uh, I remember when I was younger being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think it's a terrible question. Better question is, what do you want to do all day long until you die? Oh, the lottery. Yeah. Yeah. Who wouldn't want to win the lottery and just sit on the beach or in the mountains or in the woods or wherever your happy place is? Um, but yeah, so yeah, AI and ML does seem to be one of the more popular things these days. Um, that is not an area that I'm experienced in. The most experience I had was hiring a machine learning engineer at my startup. So she was great. I did not understand a lot of the concepts, but I was able to give help her have the infrastructure she needed to build the things that she built. So that was really cool. Okay. Let's see. So I feel like web developer have no jobs these days. It's pretty hard to be up to date as tech moves so fast. It does, but so much of what we do is it's just learning the new library or the new thing. Um, I mean, even if you look at the new React stuff, it's not really that different than the concepts that you would have learned in Angular version 1. I mean, the syntax is different, sure. And there are a few other things that are different. But the underlying logic of it, very little difference. And Angular 1 came out in what, 2012? Something like that? Oh, actually, when was that? Hit the wrong button and lost you. Release Angular 1. Is that even on here? No. How about Wikipedia? Angular. are they hiding Angular 1? It's like Angular 1 never existed. Angular also... Okay, Angular JS. Yeah, released in 2010. Okay, React developer. Yeah, so, I mean, like, the stuff changes, but how much does it really change? You know, the underlying concepts are so foundationally equivalent. You know, I remember either having to use jQuery or X. What is the vanilla before fetch to be able to vanilla Java script Ajax. I forget what the X. Old school. I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, no. There was there it is. XML HTTP request. When this was the way that you did Ajax requests, and it didn't always work because Internet Explorer, and then you moved to jQuery, and then now there's fetch, right, or Axios. So like there's tons of different ways, but really it's still the same core. Go get data, wait for it to come back, and when it comes back, do something with it. So figuring out a way to say on your CV that you know enough about something and not lie is kind of the key to a lot of that, in my opinion. Yeah, never did Ajax yet because being that you're a bit younger, I assume, being that you're still finishing up your schooling, you have probably never had to, as a front end or as a web developer, open your browser or open your application in 5 different versions of Internet Explorer and get completely different results. Still 21? Yeah, I haven't been 21 for over 21 years, so it's more than that. It's a good bit more than that. So here. Okay, we want to. What's the job market like where you are? It's not good. I'm sorry to hear that. That stinks. It's okay here. It depends. So much competition. Yeah. The markets always change. You know, we all have. Everybody's a React developer. I see. Yeah. You know, it probably doesn't hurt to learn. Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on the environment, but I find it that understanding different elements of different parts of the stack are usually valuable. But then again, I am super interested in a lot of stuff. I am not a front-end developer, and I'm not a data data type engineer, but I have a lot of interests around that area. So I'm no data engineer, I'm no machine learning engineer, but I have a lot of interest in data ops. Yeah, it's a diversifying your understanding with Rust is good. Like, so even if you don't become a backend Rust engineer, understanding the requirements can make engineering for the front end that much better. Or even if you can do some things, as opposed to waiting for a backend engineer to be able to update an API. If you're comfortable enough to update the API yourself, that can be really valuable. At least in my experience, that has been the case. So I think token type. What do you think of Rust? I've done backend stuff with TypeScript, building everything from scratch with auth and stuff. Nice. Yeah, yeah. It's always good. The more of the stack you know, the more likely you are to be able to add value. That's for sure. Rust has a very weird syntax, you would say, and give it more time. Like I said, I've done some toy applications in Rust, and kind of liked it, but it definitely has a different feel than most other things that I've used professionally. I've been doing this for so long, and I still feel like I don't know anything. I know that's not true, but it feels like I don't know anything. So I wake up every morning as Jon Snow. I know nothing. But somehow, every day I always find the answers. And that's kind of just the position you have to keep yourself into, or the mindset you have to keep to exist in this world anymore. Not just this industry, but this whole world. Everything's constantly changing. The life comes at you faster than you can handle most of the time. So my wife likes to say that it's just more fuck shit. As in, this is fuck shit or that is fuck shit. So it doesn't matter. Just deal with the fuck shit in front of you. I found that funny. Okay. I think you feel a bit scared and fear of the unknown for sure. I don't think it changes really. Like things are always changing. Every time you turn around and think you've got life handled, it just changes. No way to account for that. You just have to keep getting up. It's what's that? That's a song or a saying. You know, you get however many times you get knocked down, get up one more time. Just try to remember the previous successes and try to remember those more than the previous failures. And failure is not failure until you give up, I suppose. At least that's what they say. I don't know. I just keep trying. That's all I know. All right. Let's give this a shot now that we've done some refactoring. Nope. Something's not right. Star as user from model. Roots users. Oh, okay. I'm so. Oh no, it's fine. No, it's great talking to you. I mean, it's unusual speaking out loud and then reading. Okay, yeah. I do hope you join the Discord server. I'm always happy to talk, however much otherwise. But I hope you've found some value in this, and I wish you nothing but the best. So happy to have had you stop by. Hope to see you again. Okay. We need to... How long have I been going? Gosh, I've almost been going 3 hours. Let's do a little bit more. Let's just get this... Let's get our login tested. And then I'll finish up for today. So... we need to update our roots. Import star as user. And then we need to go to our customer. From dot customer. Okay, doesn't like that. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, users and customers. Users. Import verify from. Verify has already been declared. Those are both in JWT. Almost. So import token type, but we didn't export token type from JWT. Okay, so now we can try to log in. No guarantees this will work. Log in. Okay. User login. How's that a 404? All right, from index, we're using root path roots. All right, that's our index. So then our users roots. Okay, so that is there. So we just come back over here. All right, let's on every we have a new member on the Discord server. Yay! Cool. Where did OBS go? There it is. Okay, So a 404, but let's add a new middleware. That's weird. I don't want that. I just want to console.log. Actually, we were already doing that. We don't need that. User login is a 404. User login was a 404 for a post. A post to 404. User has custom roots. And its roots were login. User/login. Okay, let's go back to our index and let's just log out what we're registering. Console.log root.path. Adding user, adding customer. Can we get a list of the routes? Dot path. / login token refresh post log. Well, snaggletooth. Why? Let's just do routes user. So if we do a app.use routes sub-0 dot routes, then we do a login. It's still a 404 for post user login. Nope. Well, I do not know. But I tell you what, I'm going to go for today. That's almost 3 hours. That's more than I'm used to. And oh my goodness, it's 3 p.m. already. I am probably going to be back in the morning. So around 6 a.m. my time until 8 a.m., somewhere around there. And work on finishing up refactoring this. And then hopefully adding in the database backend for the JWT, refresh token, denial list, and the access token blacklist. Also do a little more thinking on if I like the structure that we're headed in and how to handle the passing the database to the models in a more sane fashion. So thanks for coming by. It was great getting to interact with some folks, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.